All right, it is 6:03, so we will go ahead and get started just a few minutes after 6. Tonight we have what I think is probably the best way to finish a study in the book of Judges, looking at the book of Ruth, of course. Ruth is the good news of Judges. I love the book of Ruth for several reasons. The reason that we care about tonight, of why I love the book of Ruth, is that we labored through the book of Judges, and we saw example after example after example of God's people spiraling further downward, and they were doing what was right in their own eyes, of course. And so that's heartbreaking to see how far they can fall from God's standards. And we saw many examples of people just, dragging God's name through the mud, unfortunately. And we come to the book of Ruth, however, and even in the midst of that chaos and spiritual darkness, we see a shining ray of hope in that, not all is lost. Okay, so I think of Elijah when he flees to Mount Sinai. And he is at the depth of his despair, and he tells God, one of his complaints is, I'm the only one left. What did God tell him? I'm the only one that's serving you, God. No, you're not. Elijah, you're not alone. I have several more that have not knelt to Baal. You are not alone. I kind of think of this, when everybody is doing what's right in their own eyes in the book of Judges. Here we have a story that's taking place, a history that's taking place in the days of the Judges, and we are going to find a great example of somebody that is so very careful to honor God in how they are living. In the book of Ruth, we will encounter the hero of the book of Ruth. Okay, we can give trophies to several heroes of the book of Ruth. There's one shining hero of the book of Ruth. And we'll see who that is. And this person, we have to construct another Mount Rushmore. This Mount Rushmore is composed of Bible heroes that are like the supporting actors, the kind of the lesser known, but are people that are so on fire to do things right. To do things right for God and even for other people. I put Joseph, the husband of Mary, on this Mount Rushmore. Okay, I put Phineas on this Mount Rushmore. We've encountered Phineas a few times. And also on this Mount Rushmore is going to go to the hero of the book of Ruth. So before we jump in and get started, we'll see how much of the book we can cover. We might have to, speed up a little bit here and there, but we might be able to get through the whole thing. We'll see. There's not a lot of map work to be done. Who would like to open us up in a brief word of prayer? All right, Michelle.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today and for this time that we've learned, Lord, just how us we like the Israelites that we've done. And we thank you for your grace and mercy that you continually offer to us. And we pray that God would get through, that you would connect things, that you help things our lives to make us what you want us to, and be with Adam as you need.
Amen. Thank you. All right, we'll just jump into the book of Ruth here. So the book of Ruth, time-wise, is probably taking place during the time of Gideon, maybe to the latter part of Gideon's ministry up north in the Jezreel Valley. Here we're going to see the story of Ruth play out in Bethlehem. Okay, so Ruth 1:1, I'll read the first 5 verses here to get us started. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. Famines could be nationwide, or they could pop up from region to region. And a man of Bethlehem in Judah went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. Okay, so we have a famine in Bethlehem, which could be a little ironic. There's a famine in the house of bread, which is kind of funny. They go and sojourn, so this guy takes his wife and his 2 sons to Moab, which is intriguing. Should this man leave Israel and go to Moab, even if there is a famine, Should he leave the promised land and go to live in a foreign land? Well, the name of the man was Elimelech, and Elimelech means, my God is king. We've seen Abimelech, and his name means, my father is king. Some Gideon play there. But now we see in the same time frame Elimelech, somebody who's named my God is king. Perhaps faithful parents there. The name of his wife Naomi, and the names of his two sons were Mahlon and Chilion. In the Hebrew, that means sickly and weakly. His kids were sickly, and that's literally what they mean. Maybe they had some health challenges as infants. We don't know, but they're going to have some health challenges here. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in Judah. They went into the country of Moab and remained there. So they leave Israel to go to Moab. Moab is just southeast of Israel. And so they get out of town to go to Moab because it must not have been as famine-y there. There's probably more food to be had. But Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died. And she was left with her two sons. Now it's Naomi and her two sons. My two sons. These took Moabite wives. The name of the one was Orpah, not Oprah, Orpah. And the name of the other, Ruth. Moabite women. They lived there about 10 years. So for 10 years now, Naomi's living with her sons and their new Moabite wives. So Elimelech takes his family out of Israel, and now they marry Moabite wives. That's not good. We're not starting off stellar right now. But they lived there about 10 years. Both Mahlon and Chilion died. Sickly and weakly die. Who would have thought? So that the woman was left without her two sons and her husband. So now Naomi's left with these two Moabite ladies. She's like, great. Now my family's died on me and I'm left with these two Moabite ladies. Okay. Somebody read for us. Okay. Let's go verse 6 through 9. Somebody read verse 6 through 9. All right.
When Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them, she and her daughters-in-law prepared to return home from there. With her two daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living and set out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judah. Then Naomi said to her two daughters-in-law, go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show you kindness as he has shown kindness to your dead husbands and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband.
Yeah, then she kissed them and they lifted their voices and wept. What kind of relationship do we see between Naomi and her two daughters-in-law? This is good. This is a good bond here. Yeah, they seem very close. She hears word that, things are better back in Judah now. Oh, good. I can leave Moab and go back home, 10 plus years later. So she feels the need to tell her two daughters-in-law, okay, I'm going back to my home. You guys are Moabites. Why don't you go find new husbands? That's what would be best for you. Okay? They're saddened by this. I mean, that they love her and she loves them. And she even said, may the Lord deal kindly with you as you've dealt with the dead, or your dead husbands, my sons, and with me. You've been great to me. I love you. The best thing for you, and this really is true love, I think, coming from Naomi. She's looking to what she feels would be best for them. Go and find new husbands. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're widowers. That's perfectly fine to do. They say to her, this is interesting, no, we will return with you to your people. We want to stay with you, Naomi. Now that's real love. We want to go with you to your people. But Naomi said, turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? So Naomi's thinking, why would these Moabite women want to come back with me to Israel? They really have nothing in it for them if they come back with me. And she's trying to kind of push them away, kind of like, what was it, Old Yeller or something? Just go, whatever. And they shot Old Yeller. I don't know. some nature movie where the kid tries to release his pet into the wilderness or whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. Go, you know. But she's trying to send them back so they can have lives. Okay, would they have lives in Israel? Somebody read Deuteronomy 23, verse 3. Pull that up and we'll read it. She really is looking out for their best interest here.
No Ammonite or Moabite may enter the assembly of the Lord, even to the 10th generation. None of them may enter the assembly of the Lord forever.
Wow. Okay. This is through the law of Moses. God for his people. You better not let any Moabite or Ammonite into the assembly of the Lord. Okay, let's tuck that away into the back of your mind and see what we have to do with that in a little bit. But that is God's standard for his people. Don't let Moabites or Ammonites ever into the assembly of the Lord. So Naomi's probably thinking, you're not going to have a life with me in Bethlehem. So turn back. Go your way. She said, have I yet sons in my womb that they may become your husbands? Like, I got no sons left for you. Turn back, my daughters. Go your way, for I'm too old to have a husband. She gets slightly crass here. If I should say I have hope, even if I should have a husband this night, like if I should get a man tonight, and should bear sons, what, are you going to wait around until they're grown? Like, this is ridiculous for you to come with me. I got no more husbands for you to remarry. I can't find a man tonight and have another son so that you wait around for them to get old enough. That's nonsense. Would you therefore refrain from marrying? Like, wouldn't you just go home and find new husbands? No, my daughters, it's exceedingly bitter for me for your sake. And this is going to characterize Naomi now for a couple chapters. Bitterness. It's bitter for me for your sake that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me. Don't you see how much he's kicked me around? How much he's been against me? You don't want any part of that. Then they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. Orpah goes her way back into the kingdom of Moab. And I don't think we need to be hard on Orpah for that. Like, put yourself in her sandals. It's kind of what Naomi's telling her to do anyway. That's what she should do, humanly speaking, for the rest of her life. Okay, so she turns back. Sure, you've convinced me. Okay, I'll go. But Ruth clung to her. Ruth is going to be insistent. No, I really want to go with you. She said, see, Naomi tells her, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Okay, Naomi, yes, you love them, you want what's best for them, but, how much are you really trying to win them to the Lord here? She's gone back to her people, to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law. You can see Naomi's bitterness really shining through. Just leave me alone. God has kicked me around enough. You don't want any part of that. Go back to your people and your gods, and I'm just going to wallow back to Bethlehem. But Ruth said, do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. And this is wonderful. This is beautiful. For where you go, I will go. And where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and even better, your God, my God. Okay, Naomi has had some good influence on her over the years. I want your God. I want your people. I get it. Okay, Orpah made the decision to go back. I don't want to go back to those people and to those gods. I want, and this is as clear, I think, a declaration of faith as Rahab had from Jericho, I want to be a follower of Yahweh, your God. Okay? May the Lord do so to me and more also, if anything but death parts me from you. Like, the only thing, Naomi, that's going to convince me from not following you anymore is if I die. And when Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more. All right. Fine. So, what about no Moabite coming into the assembly of God? Remember back in Rahab last fall when we walked through Joshua. What was it? Rahab should have been as good as slaughtered with the rest of the people under the harem, right? she came to faith in the one true God. That seemed to be the one thing that would exempt somebody from that fate. If you place your faith in the one true God and truly be a saved person, welcome into the congregation of the Lord. That appears to be the same effect here. So when God told the people through the law, don't let any Moabite or Ammonite come into the congregation of the Lord, Israel could have sojourners and aliens in with them, hoping that those aliens would come to faith, but they could entertain foreign people in their midst, just not Moabites or Ammonites. That's thinking about like unsaved foreign people. Yeah, we'll abide by them, and sure, they can be with us. They still can't have full access that we have to God, but they can sojourn among us. Well, they weren't allowed to have Moabites and Ammonites specifically. We don't have time to break down the history of that. Those just so happen to be the two people that came out of Lot's incestuous relationship with his daughters. Moab and Ammon came from that. But there's other reasons there. They wouldn't help Israel in the wanderings and all that sort of stuff. God made that decision. So Ruth is a Moabitess. She insists on going. She wants to identify herself with Yahweh. That would be the salvation that would exempt her from that fate. Does that make sense? You have kind of a similarity to Rahab there. Somebody read 19 to the end of the chapter, 19 to 22. All right, thank you. So the setting is staged. So they get back to Bethlehem, and the whole town's like, oh, whoa, Naomi's back. It's been so long. And tight communal living, you know the people, right? It's not like coming back into Fort Worth and like, everybody knows you because you're back. No. Everybody just kind of knows everybody. You get the extended clan. Whoa, is this Naomi? Wow, they're back from Moab. Where's Elimelech? Where's Sickly and Weekly? That happens. But she says, do not call me Naomi, which means pleasant in Hebrew, but call me Mara, which means bitter. Don't call me pleasant, call me bitter, because that's who I am now. That's just not what I feel like, that's who I am. Call me Mara. Why? The Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went away full in terms of family. You went away because you weren't full, because you were starving, because there was a famine. But in terms of at least family, I went away full. I had a husband. I had 2 sons. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. The Almighty has brought calamity upon me. And you know what? This calamity, this word ra in the Hebrew, God says himself, I cause calamity. I bring it upon people. I work stuff in the world in people's lives. God, yes, causes calamity in all of our lives. Mara here has chosen to be bitter because of it. It's a big difference. How are we going to respond to the challenges that do happen in our lives? Some are incredibly heartbreaking. How do we respond to that? Do we allow ourselves to still be pleasant or faithful, or do we grow bitter? And Naomi has grown bitter against the Lord. Okay. Now, Naomi had a relative of her husband's, a worthy man of the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. So her dead husband Elimelech, somebody in the clan. Here, now we've met Ruth, a hero of the story, no doubt. Now we meet the hero of the story. Okay, because he will shine forth as the the counter to all that's been going on in the time of the judges. Okay? A worthy man, name is Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, let me go to the field. We'll see how many specific examples we can find of his care to do things right. It's stunning. Let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after him, in whose sight I shall find favor. Okay, she's appealing to the law, Leviticus 19 and 23, I think, that if you have a field, as you harvest in your field, if some drops, leave it for the poor people. And also, don't harvest 100% of your field. Leave the edges and the corners for the poor among you. Let's help out those in our community that don't have as much as we have, okay? That was by law of Moses. You were supposed to do that. So Ruth says, okay, let me go and glean among the ears of grain after him. Let's get me some food here, in whose sight I shall find favor. She said, go, my daughter. So she set out and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened, this is kind of funny in the Hebrew, it's like, oh, she just so happened to stumble by, the part of the field that belonged to Boaz. Of course, this was of the Lord making it happen. Who was of the clan of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and he said to the reapers, I love this is like a musical, the Lord be with you. And they answered, the Lord bless you. This is like everybody's happy to be here in Boaz's field. So, what? Oh, yeah, this is exactly what happens, young ladies, if you walk by a construction site. But Boaz comes to his employees, hey, the Lord be with you. Hey, the Lord bless you. This is like a happy setting. Then Boaz said to his young man, who was in charge of the reapers, whose young woman is this? Like, I haven't seen her before. And the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, she is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers. So she came, and she has continued from early morning until now, except for a short rest. So far, what are some things we see that are, a happy exception to what we've seen in the book of Judges, where everybody's doing what's right in their own eyes, and everybody's cheating in the law and doing whatever they can to get ahead? What have we seen so far, even in just this little example? They're leaving the edges, apparently a good amount, because she's been at it all day. Except for the siesta she took. Yes. She's a hard worker. Yeah, he's caring for his own employees, has a good relationship with them. The Lord be with you. Hey, the Lord be with you. She's sticking to what by law is good for her. Yeah, and she's humble enough to be like, I'm just going to glean at the edges here, as long as they'll allow me, for I am. So even in this little example, we have something different from the rest of the book of Judges. Boaz is not done there being a man of valor. Boaz said to Ruth, now listen, my daughter, do not go glean in another field or leave this one, but keep close to my young women. Hey, stay. Don't wander off. We'd love to keep you here. Let your eyes be on the field that they are reaping, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? Okay, Ruth is a young woman who is in a vulnerable place. Okay. And Boaz has made sure, probably in no uncertain terms, men of my employ, you better not touch her. It probably stands to reason he puts up with no nonsense if they were to try to touch any of the young women. Like, he wants things done well. So he says, hey, stay here, glean with the rest of the young women here. Apparently he's just very generous to let people try not to even put a stop to anybody gleaning in his fields, probably even more than what the law allows. I know that's me reading into it a bit, but here's this really good, positive environment. Probably. He wants to protect her too. If you go to another field, who knows what's going to happen to you there? If for one, you're even going to glean much. For two, if the young men there won't have their own way and do what's right in their own eyes. He wants to protect Ruth because he knows he can in his field. And when you're thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn. Help yourself. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes that you should take notice of me since I'm a foreigner?" Good question. I'm a Moabitess, if you haven't heard. Why would you be so kind to me? And Boaz answers her, "All that you've done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother in your native land and came to a people that you did not know before." It's been told to him. He doesn't mention here, "Your God be my God," but he's been given the scoop. Mara now has told him, "Oh, yeah, that she wouldn't leave me alone, but you know what? She says she wants to be part of us. She wants to be of Yahweh." Oh, okay. And so he's kind of in tune to what's been going on. "The Lord repay you for what you have done." This reminds me of a wonderful greeting card I received from a good friend. He gave me a thank you note, and it said, "The Lord repay you for what you have done." And on the inside, he wrote, "I did not take this from an imprecatory psalm." Just yes. Imprecatory prayers are, "God, please take vengeance upon somebody for what they've done." So I just thought it was kind of funny. He's like, "No, this isn't me wishing bad things upon you. The Lord repay you for what you've done." In a different context, that can be pretty scary. But no, this is a good thing. The Lord repay you for what you've done. You've been nice to my clan member, my extended family member, Naomi. The least I can do is be kind to you as well. And a full reward be given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. Boaz is like, "I know that you've come to faith in Yahweh. I can have you in my community." Okay? He knows the law. He knows I wouldn't have been allowed to have you in with us, except you have come to seek refuge under the wings of Yahweh. You're saved. You're a child of God. Welcome. Oh, I love it. She said, "I found favor in your eyes, my Lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not even one of your servants." And at mealtime, Boaz said to her, "Come here and eat some bread and dip your morsel in the wine." So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed to her roasted grain. He is hooking her up. I doubt she's the only person that he treats this way. There's just this great environment here in his field in Bethlehem. Not like the rest of the country around him is doing what's right in their own eyes. She ate, and she ate until she was satisfied and had some left over. When she rose to glean, this is what Boaz tells his young men. Okay, let her glean even among the sheaves. Like, don't even keep her to the outside in the fringes. You let her have whatever she wants. He's very generous. And of course, it's his right to do that. He owns it. And also pull out some from the bundles for her and leave it for her to glean, and do not rebuke her. Let her go wherever she wants in the field, and you know what? Make it easy for her. Let's be very kind to her. She's been through a lot. She lost her husband. She had to travel all the way back with Mara back here to Bethlehem. She knows none of us. She has no family here. She's new. Let's hook her up. Let's set her up very well in her new community. All right, somebody read the rest of the chapter, 17 to 23.
He carried it back to town and
All right, thank you. So Naomi's going to have Mara is going to have an idea here, of course. So Ruth is able to do whatever she wants in the field, and she takes it back into town, and Naomi, or Mara, sees what she's done. She's like, whoa, that's a lot. She brought out and gave her what food she had left over after being satisfied. Hey, where'd you go today, Naomi said. Where have you worked? Blessed be the man who took notice of you. So she told her mother-in-law with whom she worked, it's Boaz. Oh, whoa. Naomi's like, it's Boaz? I was just talking with him the other day about you, and that's the field that you happen to go. Oh, this is amazing. May he be blessed by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead. So Naomi's idea is this. What is she cooking up now? As a mother-in-law might do. It's Boaz, you say. He's a relative. He's in the clan. So what is this deal with this kinsman redeemer? This man is a close relative of ours, one of our redeemers. What's up with that? Yes. In the law, and this was the moral standard even before the law, and encoded in the law, is you need to take care of people. So if a man dies, leaves his widow childless, a brother was supposed to take her in and give her a child. Take her as a wife, give her a child. Why? To continue your dead brother's line. And yes, even to honor the woman is to be able to bear children. To honor your dead brother's line, God set it up in a way to enforce that. That was the expectation. This man is one of our redeemers. And so obviously the wheels are turning. She said, it's good, my daughter, that you go out with his young woman, lest in another field you be assaulted. Richard pointed that out. So she kept close to the young women of Boaz, gleaning until the end of the barley and wheat harvest, and she lived with her mother-in-law. She lived with Naomi. She would go to glean in the field, obviously providing for herself and Naomi, who also would be vulnerable here too. So that's the plan. The kinsman redeemer. Do you remember from the book of Genesis somebody that refused to fulfill this role and what happened to him? He died. It was Onan. Okay, Onan, and this was Judah's son dies. And so Onan was supposed to take up his widow, Tamar, and give her a son. What does Onan do? There's no kids here. So, That's what Tamar will end up doing in order to get a child that she will have with Judah himself. He doesn't fulfill, and so he allows his seed to spill on the ground. Okay. The problem wasn't the act of his seed, going out from him. Okay, there's a big misunderstanding oftentimes of that's the sin there. That's not the sin. The sin is his refusal to honor his dead brother, and so he took Tamar, but he didn't finish the job to actually give her a child. He used her, which is sinful, yes. The big problem at hand, however, was his refusal to act as that redeemer. God was so upset with Onan that he kills him for it, okay? Because of Onan's failure to do that. And yeah, it was not any ordinary family line. It just so happened to be Judah's, which probably is why God was more stern with the punishment there. But he was upset with Onan for refusing to do that. Okay, fast forward to here. Oh, there's a redeemer. Well, do we know if Boaz would be willing to be a better Onan here? Well, we'll have to see. As great as Boaz has been, I submit to you that we still haven't seen the greatest of him, and how careful he is to do things right and well. Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her in chapter 3, "My daughter, should I not seek rest for you?" We'll probably go a little faster through chapter 3. That it may be well with you. Is not Boaz our relative with whose young women you were? See, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. I got a plan. Wash, therefore, and anoint yourself. Put on your cloak, like clean yourself up, put on something nice. And put on a cloak so that you won't be seen in the nighttime doing this. Go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. Like after a hard day's work, now he gets to eat and drink and rest. Okay? But when he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go. Uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do. So Ruth replied, "All that you say I will do." So she went down to the threshing floor and did just as her mother-in-law commanded her. When Boaz had eaten and drunk and his heart was merry, he was rested after the long day's work and had his belly filled, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. Then she came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. Do you have any thoughts about this, or what have you heard about this? Yeah. Some people interpret this as to think that like she was doing something illicit, like she was trying to seduce him. That's not what's going on. There's nothing untoward here. Naomi's plan was for Ruth to go and offer herself to him to request that redeeming role. And the way she was doing it, she was going to go at night with her cloak on, so nobody would assume she's trying to do anything. Nobody would catch her, lest they assume she's trying to sneak around and do something bad, lest it would sully Boaz's name. It also would, if Boaz for some reason didn't, it would also kind of protect Ruth from that embarrassment, right? That was probably the deal with the cloak. So she goes and lays down at his feet. At midnight, the man was startled and turned over. Behold, a woman lay at his feet. What? He said, "Who are you?" She answered, "I'm Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer." That was a fine request to make. "Please take me in," is what she's saying. And he said, "May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first." And obviously, he's feeling good about this, in that you've not gone after a young man, whether rich or poor. He's apparently an older man. He's an older, wealthier man. Okay, and he's like, you didn't chase after the other young men, whether they're rich or poor, whatever. You want me? Obviously, that would make him feel good, right? But he also sees in her that she wants to do things the right way as well. "And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask. For all my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman." You have a great reputation, Ruth. Also, Naomi's idea for her to do this at night, so nobody would think anything bad about her. "And now it is true that I am a redeemer." Boaz shines here. "Yet there is a redeemer nearer than I," a closer relative, closer to Chilion, her dead husband. "Remain tonight, and in the morning, if he will redeem you, good, let him do it." Like, that's the right way to go about this, Ruth. We want to do everything by the book. We want to be above board. "He is nearer to you than I, technically, so if he will redeem you, let him do it. But if he is not willing to redeem you, then as the Lord lives," like I promise before God, "I will redeem you. Lie down until the morning." So she lay at his feet until the morning, but arose before one could recognize her. He said, "Let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor." And he said, "Bring the garment you're wearing and hold it out." So she held it, and he measured out 6 measures of barley and put it on her. Then she went in, that's a lot, that she went into the city. She must have had a strong back to carry this all the way back. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, "How did you fare, my daughter?" She told her all the man had done for her, saying, "These 6 measures of barley he gave to me, for he said to me, you must not go back empty-handed to your mother-in-law." She replied, "Wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out. For the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today." Naomi is confident that Boaz would want to follow through on this. Right? We're good? That's 3 chapters down. I was hoping to cover the whole book. We will. I know we've been going kind of fast here. But I think we see in this so many examples that if we're not careful to see them, we just kind of read through the story and like, oh, that's nice. No, we see an example of a man, unlike the rest of the time of Judges, who really wants to be careful of following God's law and doing everything the right way, factoring in what's good for other people, what's the right thing to do in the law, and just, I don't know, to me, he's like one of just the most righteous people. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. One of the most righteous in his conduct person that we see in all of the Bible. Okay. Somebody read chapter 4, verses 1 through 6. All right. So Boaz waits in the city gate for this guy to come by, grabs his attention, lets him know of this. Hey, you're closer than I. There's an opportunity to redeem. Will you do it? And so at first the guy said, oh, Naomi coming back, Elimelech's widow? Yeah, sure. I'll do it. Ah, Boaz says, if you do, just know, it's Ruth the Moabitess that you have to perpetuate sons for. Naomi has already had 2 sons, even though they're dead. You have to perpetuate Chilion's line through Ruth if you do this, okay? It's not just Naomi's field that you get, the piece of property that you get that you might be able to profit off of. You also have to provide for Ruth. Oh, well, then I'm out. What do we think of this guy? He is honest. He is honest. Like, he didn't want that much responsibility. Like, when it was the field and he knows that that's more property and he could profit from it, sure, I'll do it. But when it's like, oh, you actually have to provide for Ruth and do that, oh, that would impair my own inheritance. I can't do that.
Do you think it maybe has something to do with Ruth being a Moabitess?
Quite probably. Do I want a Moabitess as a wife now? Ugh.
I mean, it says that it compares inheritance, what it is. It's like, my dad's not going to give me anything. I'm marrying an Moabitess woman.
That could be. That could be. Who knows? Yeah, who knows what's going on in his mind because of the Moabitess thing. But it would water down the share that he would give perhaps to maybe sons he already has. It could impair my inheritance that I'm leaving for my kids. In some way, he's seen a loss here. He's not willing to take on the responsibility to his own hurt. But God doesn't strike him down like he did Onan. I think he's not quite as bad as Onan. God sees the heart. We don't. So it's easy to dog this guy and be like, that's not good. He also, Sure, God. No doubt about it. As God works sovereignly, he did not have it in his plan for this guy to be the guy, for sure. God saw Onan's heart. He sees this guy's heart. This guy was also informed. If you don't, I'm here to do it. Okay. So this woman will be taken care of. So it's easy to really criticize this guy. We don't see the heart. he's not the point. The point is Boaz was willing to, but he still wanted to make sure he gave this guy the opportunity and informed him of all that it entailed. And Boaz was ready to be like, okay, if you got it, I walk away. Man, I'd hate to lose out on Ruth. No doubt he's probably attracted to her as well. Like, this would be great for him. But the first guy refuses it. Now, this was the custom in former times in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging. To confirm a transaction, the one drew off his sandal, gave it to the other, and this was the manner of attesting in Israel. So when the Redeemer said to Boaz, buy it for yourself, he drew off his sandal. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, you're my witnesses this day that I've bought from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech and all that belonged to Chilion and Machlon. It's like he wants to take care of Naomi too and all this, but also perpetuate the line through Ruth. Also Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Machlon, I've been saying Chilion, apparently it's Machlon, I have bought to be my wife, to perpetuate the name of the dead in his inheritance, that the name of the dead may not be cut off from among his brothers and from the gate of his native place. You are witnesses this day. Then all the people who were at the gate and the elders said, we are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who's coming into your house like Rachel and Leah. That's a great compliment. Jacob's wives, his legal wives. May she be like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the house of Israel. May you act worthily in Ephrathah and be renowned in Bethlehem. And Judah's mom was Leah, by the way, so that was their own. And may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah. And Perez was their ancestor, because of the offspring that the Lord will give you by this young woman. Oh, we're all witnesses this day. Boaz, may you be blessed in this. They're happy to honor him and to bless him. How can you not? Boaz is the man. Everybody apparently loves him. How can you not? He's so great to everybody else. Ruth is such a wonderful book. It's not like so much in Scripture. Scripture records world history how it actually happened, not how we would like it to have happened. Ruth is a book of history, and this happened, but it's such a positive ending. This is so beautiful. Boaz took Ruth, she became his wife. He went into her, and the Lord gave her conception, and she bore a son. Then the women said to Naomi, they're so happy for her, to blessed be the Lord, who's not left you this day without a redeemer, and may his name be renowned in Israel. Naomi, you must be happy too. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age, for your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him. Then Naomi took the child and laid him on her lap and became his nurse. This is just a storybook ending. And the women of the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, a son has been born to Naomi. It's Ruth's son, but like her family, her line, right? They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of, and you can call me crazy if you want, and this is also the last word of this book. The last word of this book, I think, gives us the reason of why this book was written. It was included in the canon because God wants us to have it. Why was the book of Ruth written? Yes, it shows us a great example of a righteous man and hope. Yes, ultimately it shows the line of Jesus. When it was written, the person's concern was that it shows the line of David. This was written in David's time or shortly after, probably by Gad the seer or Nathan the prophet, who wants to legitimize, substantiate, honor, uplift the house of David. Okay, why should we accept David as the king over all of us? Saul was the king, and now you have this boy from Jesse of the tribe of Judah. Why should we all honor him? Remember, David didn't start out as king over the whole nation, 7 years in Hebron. Okay, this ruler in Hebron over the tribe of Judah, why should we allow him over all of us? Look at his heritage, people. In the days of the judges, because there was no king, everyone was doing right in their own eyes. Look, we can have a king who came from this greatness. Now, these are the generations of Perez. Perez fathered Hezron. Hezron fathered Ram. Ram fathered Amminadab. Amminadab fathered Nahshon. Nahshon fathered Salmon. Do you remember Salmon? Not the salmon. Salmon married Rahab. Salmon fathered Boaz. Long story there. Can't get into it with the time we have remaining. Probably gaps there. There's a few hundred years between Salmon and Boaz. Gaps in Old Testament genealogies, another topic for another day. Short answer, yes. But Salmon fathered Boaz. Boaz was a son of Salmon. Boaz fathered Obed. Obed fathered Jesse, and Jesse fathered David. And there's the reason for the book. David. Ruth is wonderful. She is a hero. The biggest hero of the book of Ruth is Boaz. And all of that together, and even Naomi's happiness at the end, and she don't call me Mara anymore. No, she's Naomi now. She stopped telling people, just call me Mara from now on. Now she's happy. It ends so wonderfully. This is such a positive example of what righteousness can do and be, even in the worst times. So if we live in troublesome times, do we just pack it in and fold it in and say, I guess the world has gone to a bad place in the handbasket? No. We be the Ruths and the Boazes that we can be in the darkness. Through that, God brings great things. Now, this kinsman redeemer, this probably opened a can of worms that I'm just going to drop on you that we don't have time to really break down. 5 minutes left. You've often heard it said, Jesus is our kinsman redeemer. And you'll read in the book of Ruth, and people might be like, oh, just like Boaz was a kinsman redeemer, Jesus is our kinsman redeemer. We want to be careful with how we define things. Is Jesus our redeemer? Oh, you better believe it. He's our redeemer from sin. He is our redeemer. If you read the book of Ruth, which stands on its own, just my advice to you, be careful of how we define things. Jesus is not our kinsman redeemer like Boaz was. Boaz had that certain role under the law to do that. Okay, Jesus is our redeemer. But, and Boaz, you know what? He's acting a lot like Jesus, I would submit to you. He's careful to do everything right. And what a great forerunner in that line of Jesus. He was a specific kinsman redeemer that had a special act to do for Ruth. Jesus doesn't do that very same thing for us, but he is absolutely our redeemer. We can still draw a great connection between Boaz and Jesus, and Boaz is his literal ancestor. And what a wonderful heritage, as you pointed out. At the time this was written, it's like, oh, you know, how great is this that our man David came from all this? Well, you know what? Somebody greater than David came along. And we can now have the benefit of more history to look and say, wow, Jesus came from this. From this tribe of Judah, this line here. Yeah, it produced David, but even greater, infinitely greater, it produced Jesus. Now, Jesus, of course, was not dependent on any of this for his own righteousness. He's the Son of God. He's God in the flesh. That's a can of worms I opened just to be careful of how we define things. But there are some really great kind of connections we can make between Boaz and Jesus here. I don't know. What do you think of that? Is that fair? Yeah, that is interesting. They're sickly and weakly. Maybe they couldn't produce. Yeah, sickly couldn't produce, maybe. Yeah, and you know what? We're like, oh, it doesn't say Ruth was barren or anything like that, you know, but maybe she was. It was probably Machlon's problem, I would guess. I don't know. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
But then you look at Naomi, okay, she was bitter. Well, who taught Ruth all about the Israel law?
Naomi did, clearly. Yes.
So, I mean, you have to also look at that part of it.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't mean to downplay Ruth and Naomi at all. She's the hero of her own story. Yeah, they're heroes of the story too. And you know who honors the women of these genealogies? You look at Matthew, and he's mentioning Rahab. He's mentioning Ruth. He's mentioning Bathsheba of all people. He's mentioning the women in Jesus' line as well. And Paul tells Timothy, man, it's Lois and Eunice that gave that were the great. You know, they showed you the way. Every,
Go back a little further, and you have Moses' mother, who was nursing,
yep.
and she walks into that, teaching them all about Yahweh.
Yeah.
I think it's also a real how much redemption happens in the Old Testament, and one very good stories of redemption are the redemption.
That's a really good point. Even though the role of kinsman redeemer is a specific legal stricture that, you know, Boaz fulfilled, that's a great example of even the concept of redemption, that God works. That's a wonderful concept. Through tragedy and heartache and sin and chaos, God works redemption out of that. To be brought from fallenness to righteousness, to be brought from death to life. Ruth. Yeah. I love the book of Ruth. I know we just screamed through it. We could have spent a few weeks looking at more detail. Forgive me for that. But I'm really glad we were able to finish with the book of Ruth. Worthy of deeper study. Also, there are other things going on there, but I love it. I love Boaz. I love Ruth. Some people think it's a girly book. Whatever. I don't know.
Well, to think that they were standing for God when Jesus started judging,
Yeah.
that makes it even more.
Yeah. It's hopeful, isn't it? You can stand for the righteousness of God in your chaotic, fallen, horrible society. And God honors that. There's never an excuse to be like, everybody else has fallen from God, I'll just go with them. Boaz has shown us, you know what? No way. I'm going to do everything living for the Lord the right way. And just what a great example of that. All right. Father, we love you and we thank you for this great example. Ruth and Boaz and even Naomi, the joy she got to experience at the end as well. And just what a wonderful example you've given to us in the scriptures of what it looks like to live for you, the blessings that come out of that, and of how you work all that together for good for those who love you. We thank you for the study we've been able to have in Judges, and just always sharpen our minds and soften our heart with your word. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.